It's Memorial Day. It's an American holiday. We'll talk about that. German soccer fills stadium with cardboard fans, and Major League Soccer is dealing with a potential 10% pay cut, maybe 20%. And a COVID-19 update. We have testing problems and higher education update, as usual. Problems now in Washington State. And I have a question from one of our listeners. All of this on episode 513. So first, it's Memorial Day. So I went to history.com and let's talk about Memorial Day. It's an American holiday observed on the last Monday of May, honoring the men and women who died while serving in the U.S. military. Memorial Day 2020 occurs on Monday, May 25th, which is today. Originally known as Decoration Day, it's originated in the years following the Civil War and became an official federal holiday in 1971. Many Americans observe Memorial Day by visiting cemeteries or memorials or holding family gatherings and participating in parades. Not this year. We are going to cower in fear. You know, all the ones that died for us, we are scared of a little virus, but we have our ancestors that would jump off ships, get shot to death to defend our freedoms, and we're just giving it away. But that's probably good for somewhere else, you know, like some other talk show talking about that has a lot more intelligence on the subject than I do, but it's sad. Anyways, did you know each year on Memorial Day, a national moment of remembrance takes place at 3 p.m. local time? I did not know that, and I challenge you all today at 3 p.m. to take a moment of silence, whether it's 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or whatever you're going to do. Do something that's, remember our ancestors. It has to be more important than what you're doing other than that. Give some time towards that. So in other news, German soccer fills stadium with cardboard fans. That is odd. According to New York Post, it looks so very 2020. The German Soccer League Bundesliga match between, I can't pronounce these names, on May 23rd, which was my anniversary, by the way, used cardboard pictures of fans to fill seats at their stadium in Germany. So, yeah, that is weird. And, you know, it was creative. Those are actually sponsors, because I actually covered this before. Some fan came up with, hey, let's have our fans support their local team by purchasing their own family members or themselves and put them in the seats that they would have been in or whatever. And they paid for it. It went to charity and to help charity in this crisis. I don't forget what episode it was, but I already covered this. And now they're saying it's odd. Yes, everything is odd and weird today, but don't worry. More odd things. Major League Soccer, ESPN sources reports MLS Players Association continues talks in the league, makes 10% pay cut proposal. It was 20%. Negotiations between MLS and the MLS Players Association surrounding players' compensation continues, with salary cuts, a force clause, and revenue sharing among the sticking points. So they're all figuring out what they're going to do, and they don't exactly know what to do. You know, how do you negotiate where there's no money being brought in, not to the degree it was, and you know, how do you deal with that? And you got fans like myself, take the freaking cut, get to work, and let's get this world going. Sports is invaluable. Save us from the madness. Get back and play. Remember, I was in Texas when the NBA canceled. They closed the doors to their facilities. I was in Dallas, and I flew home, and all the madness hit, and that's where everything started getting shut down and everything. It was because of basketball. Well, basketball shut us down. Soccer started us up. Get to work. Get to work before baseball, because they're going through their own negotiations. It was also reported that MLS proposal contains the first draft of a force maneuver clause. One source told ESPN that players will be asking to sign an addendum to their contracts, put in the clause in place for 2021. They got major problems. The proposal pay cut that would be across the board with the expectation that the cut will be amount to around $20 million in savings for the league and would only be applied to the rest of the current wages starting on a date to be determined. So all sports right now are going through some negotiations and trying to figure out how do they make sense of everything that they're doing right now. And we just don't know that we don't know because we don't know. We don't know how to handle any of this because we're gonna test everyone coming to the stadium. We're gonna do their temperature test, which is stupid and impossible. And it's so confusing and wrong that we're behaving like this. But the proposals also ask that the MLS PA to delay by 1 year a revenue sharing agreement based on the new domestic broadcast rights deal scheduled to begin in 2023. The CBA term agreement agreed upon in February stipulated that 25% of the net increase in media revenue that exceeds 100 million above 2022 levels pre-New Deal will follow into salary budget and general allocation money on a per team basis. The league proposal indicates that the revenue stream would only kick in for 2024, the last year of the CBA, instead of starting 2023. So very complicated. They're dealing with a lot of crazy stuff. The Major League MLS came back and compromised a pay cut of 7.5%. The union is also pushing back on the force of a maneuver clause as well as delaying the revenue sharing. It's going to go back and forth. This is beyond what I understand, but we have testing problems. So as we're trying to get baseball back in, UFC's in it, and they're doing their testing, now we're finding out that the frickin' CDC screwed up and they're miscounting, and there was a lot of other states miscounting that we're aware of as of today. This comes from the BleacherNation.com COVID-19 sports update. Sorry to start things off with some alarmness, but a very concerning thing happened this week in a number of states, and the freaking CDC admitting that they had been including antibody tests in their total test results, which is a serious problem because it not only doesn't tell you what you want to know when it comes to testing data, new or current infections, but it also completely muddies the positive test rate, which is one of the most important tracking items when it comes to reopening areas of the country. In other words, if you include all your antibody tests, which much lower positivity rates in your overall data, you're artificially pushing down the positive test rate for no scientifically justifiable reason. The two types of tests need to be broken out separately. Finally, states have been starting doing it, and it will impact total testing volume, and the data are adjusted. So now we're like, oh, what are we going to do now? All the testing's jacked up. The people that can just say, hey, CDC, all the guidelines CDC, they've screwed up so many times. Look at the history. They screw up everything. Everything. You can't trust these people. Can't trust people. CDC, they just get throwing money. Deal with it. It's not even their money. They didn't even like earn it. They just like, we'll just take the money. And they're not responsible for anything. And I'm glad Trump's actually taking the money from CDC and threatening them and all that stuff. They need to be accountable. Should be ticked off. But in other news, we have educational problems in Washington. There's my daughter. She's on the far right. This is when they won the WAC championship for I don't know how many years in a row. And it's a great program, and they do very well in their conference, but they are at risk like every Washington school. This comes from Catherine Long of the Seattle Times staff reporter. Washington public colleges and universities are bracing for a money crisis this fall that is likely to decimate higher education budgets. Not only will the schools likely lose some students and the tuition money that comes with them, but the state is expected to slash funding. And they haven't announced it yet. It's coming. I've been saying this for, 3 weeks? A month? I don't even know how long. Yeah, everyone's confused on days. This is going to be so devastating. So devastating. Higher ed is going to get destroyed. You know who's going to get destroyed the most? It's the schools like Seattle U that don't have a big generating football program. I mean, they just don't. And it's very expensive. It's like $60,000 a year to go there. This is going to be so devastating. Goes on, says, I'm a little worried if people don't understand quite how bad this is going to be, said Western Washington University English professor Bill Line, president of the United Faculty of Washington State, a faculty union for 4 Washington public schools, Eastern, Western, and Central Washington universities, and the Evergreen State College. A veteran of the 2008 recession, he believes a pandemic induced economic downturn will be the particularly hard on higher education, and people aren't paying attention. So after the recession, there was huge tuitions increases, like 82%. They didn't go backwards. They kept raising tuition, and it's going to bite them all in the rear end because they spend everything they get. They can't save anything. And for the money they do have from donors and stuff, they can't touch because they're allocated for certain things. You can't just take it like a normal business. Giving an example, University of Washington increased tuition by 82% between 2008 and 2012. 82%. Arguing the price was justified. Other schools hiked college costs by double-digit amounts too. So the big reckoning's coming. And deservedly so. You're overpricing this. And I get supply demand. Everyone thinks, I got to do education and stuff. You know what? People aren't thinking that way anymore because we're more concerned about we're going to die from this virus. We're not worried about anything else, but we're going to die from this virus, and we're going to stay home, and we're not going to do online school. It's not worth doing. It's going to be a problem. It's so bad. And no one's going to go to school. This whole spiked online garbage, there's going to be a 20 to 25% hit. And I don't think any schools have dealt with that. You're going to see hundreds of schools shutting down. We're already seeing it. And it's happening this summer. And no one's paying attention. Everyone's being careful about it. Some came out first announcing what's going to... Everyone has to do their budgets. And for universities and colleges, it's July 1. So the state's going to come and say, we can't help you out this time. And then they're going to have to cut everything. So Seattle U behind me might not be an athletic program next year. Might not. Who knows? It's scary. Not good. So, yeah. Questions from a listener. So I had a message on Facebook, and he says, interested in your thoughts on something. I coach a younger team, and the manager and the parents are super keen to get the tryouts going. Normally, I get out of the way at the beginning of May, but, COVID. Normally, my tryouts are composed of some sort of rondo to warm up, 1v1, 2v2, 4v4. Basically, I like to see them play and try stuff. Then I go with, did they try the stuff, and are they enjoying it? And then, he's conflicted because he's not going to be able to do that under the new guidelines. Under the AYSA guidelines, there's a setup. Under their setup, it's not possible. As silly as I think the guidelines are, violating them jeopardizes my insurance coverage. That is scary. So you basically were kind of stuck because of this fear we have of, the COVID-19, be careful what you ask for kind of thing. And we have all these rules and all this stuff, and it's going to take away their insurance if they don't do it right. And there's going to be some clubs that can't afford to do it the way they want to do them because they don't have the spacing, and it's all goofy. So the question is, am I too attached to my routine? What are other kind of options, what can you do to really evaluate talent? So here's my thoughts on it. I hate club soccer. I don't like tryouts and all that stuff. I think for me, tryouts is about, everyone's like, we're trying outs. We're going to see if these kids are good enough to be in the club. Where I come from a different stance of, I'm going to do tryouts based on, they want to play for me. They're trying me out and seeing how I behave, how I do things. that's kind of what I do. They're trying me out, and then I place them, and I guess that's kind of where you're at in the equation. If you have multiple teams and stuff, you got to place them according to ability, and you place them based on ability. And that's the goofy part. So, but let me give you some thoughts. I'm going to turn the screen to my screen, and I'm going to show you something I've done in the past. I used to own the National Soccer Skill Store, and look at what I got here. This is skill 1, and they get judged based on time and completing the task. So here's skill 1, and look at the social distancing I already have on this bad boy. So everyone's safe, keeping social distance, and it explains all the details. And by the way, email me. I'll send you guys these activities. Here's skill 2. So this is dribble for speed, and they have to dribble, and it explains exactly how it's set up. And look at the social distancing, amazing. Skill 3, 40-yard dash without the ball, and it explains all the details. And here, skill 4, change of direction. This is where they have to dribble, and I have all the rules explaining how it works. As far as the clock will start as soon as they take the first touch of the ball, and they have to finish and get the ball stuck in or trapped inside the 10x10 area. Skill 5, chipping, 2 goals separated by 5 yards, and they get 4 balls, and it's based on time and score. And open goal finishing. This does a couple things. And by the way, doing this is kind of like I've done this event obviously before. I used to run it, through the western part of the United States, and no one liked it. So, but they might like it now because it has social distancing. But this is a cool event. This is open goal finishing, where you have to run around, hit the ball right foot twice, run around the flag, and hit the ball left foot twice. And this is another one, free kick specialist. You just split the goal in 4 directions. They get 4 balls, and total score and time. And 8, breakaway challenge, which is a cool event. And 9, longest drive. They kick the ball along as far as they can. It has to be within the distance. And 10, longest throw-in. So I did these 10 events, and then I have the score sheet. You can print out. It goes on both sides. It gives them the time, and then initial once they complete, whoever's doing the competition. But you can set this up on any field. Keeps social distancing. It's a good tryout format. I have the see what that is. Oh, here's the actual scorecard you print, and they kind of go through it. That's the backside of the scorecard, and they just get the score and you turn it in, and then you evaluate the scores. So, anyways, let's see if I can get back. Oh, I'm back. You could do a tryout that way, and things have to change. I think that's a safe way to keep your insurance and all that. Do a tryout that way. And the one thing I would want to know is, are the kids and family committed? Because it's your job as coach to make them better. And you want the most committed kids and families that would be willing to go through the process of allowing the kids to play. Are the players allowed to learn? Are they allowed to make mistakes? Are they allowed to do these things without parent influence of going nuts? So I would be interviewing the parents. I change tryouts. It's different. I think, once we're allowed to do things, that we can really focus on what you're trying to do. But you want families that have good character, and you want kids that are willing to learn and go through the process. And it's not all going to work out, but you want to have an environment where you're allowed to play, and you're not stressed about winning. You're stressed on getting better. That's why you need to do a point system and rank each individual player every time they play and see how successful they are. Other than that, that's all I got on today's podcast. So best of luck during your COVID-19 tryouts. I suggest you do that. Thank you, listener, for giving me a question. I don't know if I answered it for you, but if you email me, I'll email you the scorecard and all that. You can run with it. I know at Phoenix College we're looking at doing this as a fundraiser. Got to do something creative. Anyways, gotta roll. Have a wonderful Memorial Day. See you guys tomorrow.